The Palmetto State holds most of Chris Solis Fajardo's earliest memories. It's really only when you start to look at what's on paper that you see a difference between him and his peers.
I really try not to complain because before DAC I wasn't even able to go to school or work with it, work at any level.
He's here because of the DACA program. It's a way to allow children who were brought to the U.S. before they turned 16 to stay living and working here.
I was 2 years old when I arrived.
As an immigration attorney explains, it's an intense process that requires evidence.
So you have to prove that you arrived, before the age of 16 in this country, and that you've been continuously present ever since, that you've either completed your high school education or in the process. You have to prove that you don't have any, violent criminal history.
And for the nearly 10,000 DACA recipients in the Palmetto State, most say they don't feel any different than their peers, even though they don't share the same privileges.
Where we grew up together. We liked the same things. Everything we'd done was the same. All my friends. And then I remember when they were asking me, why don't you go to a university?
And that is just one of the hurdles that DACA recipients are running into. Because of the way federal law was written in 1996, the state has to pass a law to allow access for DACA recipients to things like in-state tuition or state-funded aid for college.
I couldn't afford housing or anything, so I had to go local. I went to school and worked full-time, and that's difficult. That's really difficult.
For those like Chris, it goes a little bit deeper. They also can't work in any of the professions requiring a license, like a realtor, social worker, or nurse, which is what Chris studied to be. Now, he drives to North Carolina to and from the hospital for each shift.
Would love not having 15, 16-hour work days, being home together with family, and being able to live close, I guess.
Now, because of these hurdles, South Carolina lawmakers are now facing a decision to change.
If they have DACA status right now, they can't actually apply for one of those state licenses. So we're working on legislation that would just say anybody with federal employment authorization is also eligible to apply for these benefits.
That legislation is moving through both the State House and the Senate this session as separate bills.
Allowing access to these licenses isn't taking away jobs from anyone, because we have a huge shortage of licensed professionals in South Carolina.
And that's exactly what research from a bipartisan research organization shows. New American Economy released a report this month that shows from 2015 to 2019, registered nurse job postings increased by 36%. For social workers at a hospital, it's 185%. The Senate bill is in the Education Subcommittee, which is led by Senator Greg Hembry.
A lot of things you can kind of get some pretty broad base of support, across the aisle kind of thing. I don't know that we'll find that with this bill.
He says some might be against it just because their stance is on immigration.
I will tell you, I've probably got some colleagues that, anything with immigration, they're going to be kind of sensitive about.
Now, Senator Hembry says he supports allowing access to in-state tuition, but he's just not sold on allowing professional licenses. Would you ever consider like a halfway point on the licensing?
I could certainly see if you have areas of critical need. I think there is enough value in the idea to explore it, do the research on it, and present it to my colleagues. See where that takes us.
He says they likely won't get to the bill this year, but it still could be discussed next year. For South Carolinians like Chris, that discussion could be life-changing, but for more than just him.
Somebody from where I was from was able to go to a higher hospital and give back and actually work there in the community with the community that I was born and raised. Well, not born, but raised in.
Reporting in Horry County, I'm Simon Williams.